Hello, everyone.
What's up, people? Welcome to the PowerTrip Podcast. We're your hosts,
Charmaine.
and Saquon.
And welcome to our another edition of Thursday Evening Chat with the St. Hilairs.
Yes, welcome.
Can you turn down your volume?
Gotcha.
We hope you guys are all doing well. Oh, I thought you were going to do our intro.
Oh, nah, I was trying to send some stuff out.
Okay. Okay, so you guys know every time we start, we got to share. So we're going to share on Facebook and let's see, share now. All right, and we're going to wait for people to start piling in.
Yeah, but to our returning audience, what's up? I hope everyone's having a good time and everything. It's been actually a smooth week so far. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Overall, it's been smooth.
Yeah, but if you don't know, here on Thursday evening chats, we kind of had 3 goals. First goal is we want to open up communication with people. We want to, well, not with people, with our community. We want to make this more comfortable thing. We want to make, just spread this to where people can come and speak about controversial topics. Another goal we have is we want to build, what would I say? We want to build great families.
Yes, families of excellence.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so we like to just share things, share topics that people don't typically talk about, or some things may be taboo or controversial. But we want to put these conversations out there so that we can get your perspective, we can share our own perspective,
Right.
And we can get the dialogue started so that we can start expanding our minds and being more open to see like what things actually are we doing that may need to change, and what things are we doing mighty well.
And what's going on in someone else's mind.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all here to grow and learn together. Hey, Mama J. Hey, G. How are you guys doing? All right. We hope you guys are having a great night. We have some interesting topics that we're excited to talk about. I know you guys saw the what is it, like a flyer?
Yeah, the cover.
The cover for this video. So we're going to be talking a lot about children. Hey, Crystal.
What's up, Crystal?
Hey,
what's up, Damien?
He said I'm sneaking on. Couldn't miss another week. Thank you. We appreciate you guys all for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
This week, Thursday evening chat, we're talking all about parenting. What he said. Crystal, hey, thank you guys. You guys are true ride or dies.
Right.
All right. So let's just start jumping in. And then as people join us, we can just fill them in on the conversation.
Yeah. All right. So we want to start off with the first topic. Strict parenting. I guess when I was doing research into it, I seen what they call a strict parent, and then they had a free range parent.
Mm-hmm.
So I never knew that was the label for it.
There's multiple parenting styles, and they put labels on like all of these different types of parenting styles. Yeah. You have conscious parenting, free range parenting, strict parenting. So there's so many different types. But go ahead. What did you read about it?
I didn't read. It was actually videos. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. They were interesting. I thought about how I want to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about my upbringing, and it was just interesting.
So define a strict parent.
What I think a strict parent is.
Mm-hmm.
See, all right. So for me, the word strict, right, can fall into a category of things.
Like what?
So you could have a parent that lets you eat junk food all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't go to the movies with your friends ever. So they might be strict as far as you being outside or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But they may be free with you doing other things.
Okay.
Now, there's some parents that, let's say, let's say a school trip come up where it's like out of the country, right? Some parents is like, nah, I ain't sending my child nowhere out of the country with nobody else. I need to be there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Would that be strict?
They strict as far as that. I mean, they worry make them strict.
Okay.
I think.
Dane said, just to be clear before I share, Teresa and Santiago, his parents, aren't in here, right? I don't think they're in here, Dane. I think you're safe. You're safe. Okay. Well, let me read the definition of strict. Mm-hmm. Demanding that rules concerning behavior are obeyed and observed.
So just behavior.
So it's whatever. It's basically saying that you set these guidelines. Hey, patty cakes. So basically it's saying that you set a certain amount of rules for your children, and like you're pretty clear on they have to follow these rules. Yeah. And so it can go to certain levels. Let's play the clip that we have with the lady was talking about strict parenting. Do we have one for that one, or was just other topics?
Do we have one about that one?
So in the comments, because a lot of you guys have kids, would you consider yourself strict parents or not?
We had Would you? I guess. No. It's kind of more so towards that.
Okay, so we'll talk. Okay, our clips are for some other things, which are so good.
It's kind of it still falls into strict parenting though. That video.
Yeah. We'll wait though. We'll wait.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so I feel like, it's different ways. But that's what I think a strict parent. A strict parent would be somebody that'd be like, shoot, oh nah, you could never go to a sleepover. That's kind of.
Well, so some parents would call themselves overprotective.
Yeah, so do you guys, might be that then.
Because some parents, like, the reason why they are, I guess, become strict is because they want to protect their children. And so I think it's kind of like I think it's kind of like a blurred line to where someone who's overprotective could be strict because they feel like in order to protect you, you need to follow these rules.
Yeah.
So you can't go to sleepovers, you can't date, you can't, travel alone, or you can't have a cell phone until a certain age. And to free-range parents who it's my child, they're autonomous, let them do what they want to do. The opposite end of the spectrum, it would be strict to say you can't do all these things. Yep. But from that parent's perspective, it's like, I'm just trying to protect my child. All right. So Ciesha said, I'm going with the flow. She's still a baby. Aww. Okay. Good answer. And Patrick said, I'm strict just because my parents were kind of loose and I needed the guidance clearly. Okay. So that's a good point.
So with you feeling like your parents were more loose though, what are your thoughts of being strict? How do you raise your kids? What do you think you're strict about?
Right.
Do you think you're an overall strict parent, or do you think that you're just strict in certain categories?
That's a good point too. Because I do feel like certain parents are like, this is an absolute no for me, versus like certain things like the cell phone or things like that. It's okay as long as they have parental blocks.
Yeah.
But other parents, I remember for me, for example, growing up, I couldn't get a cell phone. Really, I wasn't supposed to get it till I was 16, but I got it when I was 15. But that was a strict rule. We just weren't able to because they didn't feel like, I guess it was necessary at that time.
Yeah.
And then even going on MySpace and those social media sites, we weren't supposed to. Now, us young bucks, we know how to get away with things. Hey, Aunt Chi-Chi.
Wait, so I didn't catch it. You think your household was strict?
I think in certain ways it was strict. Coming home and we weren't, at a certain point, we weren't allowed to watch TV until our homework was done.
Okay.
But I feel like that was actually very beneficial because it was you knock your homework out and then later you can watch TV and enjoy yourself. And
relax. And I'm not saying that a strict parent is wrong. Being a strict parent,
we're not saying whether it's wrong or right.
Because there may be some great things that come out of it.
Yes.
I don't know. I think I had a pretty strict household.
You do?
I think so.
Hold on. Hold on 1 second. And Gigi say, hey, y'all, I'm not a strict parent. I had very strict parents and rebelled. That's a good point. A lot of people with strict parents rebel.
They do.
Crystal said, I was raised in a strict household and hated it. Okay. Dame says, my mom was stern, but my father was strict. So what was the difference between stern and strict, Damien? And then Crystal says, I don't consider myself strict. Okay. And
I don't think you're strict either.
What did you consider strict in your upbringing?
I mean, sure. I mean, you know, if we had to all be separated, go in our own rooms and don't come out like during the day.
While everybody's home?
Yeah.
Was this like alone time?
No,
or
we just annoying everybody.
Oh, so that wasn't really, I don't know if I would say that's strict. I would say that's more so like your parent just not wanting to be bothered or hear noise.
Yeah, but when you think about behavior, they looking at that like behavior. That is a behavior, actually, having fun.
But so the rule was you couldn't have fun.
Mommy, was that the actual rule? Because that's not what you was telling us. So
with being strict, there should be fear, but the child shouldn't be in fear for their life. So
yeah. So and
let's see.
With being strict, there should be fear, but the child shouldn't be in fear. So you think strictness makes someone be in fear of their life? What's up, my G?
Hey, I was gonna call her my G. Hey, mommy.
But yeah, I don't. Poppy working. Oh yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I never felt like that. I never felt.
Okay, so I looked up because I wanted more examples of what strict parenting are. So an example is demand their child to adhere blindly to their expectations. So the because I said so type of parent. Do not allow questioning of authority. Punish severely for violation of any rules. Cold, unresponsive to their kids, and use shaming and harsh words. So those are some examples of strict parenting. So Patrick, I don't know if you're still here, but would you say that you fall under that line, or do maybe you just set more boundaries and more guidance for your children rather than letting them have all the freedoms that you were able to?
Yeah. And you see, and also by that though, it's kind of like to the parents' discretion, whatever it is that they're doing that to.
Yeah, but I feel like strict is more so like, okay, if I say you can't have any chocolate cake and my child asks why, and it's like, because I said so, don't question me. I'm the parent. I said no. No means no.
Yeah, well, I get what you're saying, but you saying it in like, if it was some reason, some actual lesson behind it. You get what I'm saying?
No.
Huh? You don't think so?
Wait, just say it again.
Well, because I'm saying that whatever it is that the parent is saying to not do or whatever the case may be,
whatever the rule is for.
Yeah, that's to their discretion. It could be to literally anything.
Gotcha. Just because they don't want them to do something.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Cia just said, I think as adolescents, we viewed it as strict when it was really just order and discipline. Okay. Dame says, my mother was more structured, but gave hints of being free range. My father was militant and was very no nonsense. The contrary was my mother wasn't affectionate, but my dad, being rigid, was and still. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
CH is having flashbacks. It's all right, CH. It's all right. Hey, Khalid.
What's up, Khalid? He says, hey, mister, why don't you put a shirt on?
So that was just the little intro while people came in. We're going to talk about strict parents now. Let's go to Crystal really quick. You going to read her baby?
Okay. Crystal said I wasn't allowed to do basically anything unless it was with the pastor's daughters. Laugh out loud. My cousins had to come to my house because I wasn't allowed to stay at theirs. It was school and home.
So
I kind of had that situation unless my parents knew my friend like that.
Same, actually, but I think that's a beneficial thing. So for me, I wasn't allowed to go to my friend's house unless my mom met their parents. And, back then I'm like, come on, really? Like I had to, I was supposed to go to Myrtle Beach with Satara. And my mom, we're going to go with her dad. And so my mom was like, no, we need to sit down, have dinner. I need to meet him first. And me and Satara, come on, really, we're just trying to go on vacation. But to me, it makes sense because as a parent, you want to know what type of supervision your child's going to be under.
So you see what I was saying with that worry start to kind of bleed. What you said?
Bleeds the lines.
Yeah.
overprotective and strict.
Yeah, it blurs it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the right. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. It was just stuck in my head.
Mama J said discipline and strict are two different things. So let's go into the conversation of discipline.
Okay.
While we're at it. So our next topic is spanking or beating.
Did you want to stay? Well, since we were here, did you want to play that clip?
Oh, sure. Okay, let's just play one more clip.
What's
up,
Gabe? Janae? What's up?
Hey, Boozy.
What's up, Gabe?
Okay, so we're going to play a quick clip too, because a lot of parents... Oh, okay, so before we go on, good point. Do you guys feel like you should be friends with your children or strictly just parents with your children? And we're going to play a quick clip so you think about it. And for everybody joining, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't.
Please and thank you.
And share the video with a friend, please.
Yes. So think about what she said. And or does it change at an age or whatever the case may be?
Yes.
Think about that while we play this clip.
Okay.
Parents should be parents and not friends.
Ooh. No, this is actually hard for me. My job is not to be my kid's friend, it's to be their parent. But I don't think that is mutually exclusive of not being their friend either, if that makes any sense. But I prioritize, right, being the parental unit.
Me and my mom, I would say that she's my best friend. But like as a child, she was my mom. And I hope to have that type of relationship with my daughter. But right now, I'm the parent and you're the child, because I don't want you to lose respect for me. Like, I'm not gonna go clubbing with my daughter. Like, there's just some things that I'm just not gonna do, that I do with my friends, that I'm not gonna do with my kid.
I agree that I'm their mom first, but I'm also their friend. I'm also someone that they trust and admire and they come to, and I listen to them and I give them my opinions, and we have forged a friendship, but it's not without my position as the authority in their life, their provider, their comfort, their mama.
In my mind, once my kids are 18, or let's just say moved out of the house, they are an adult. And at that point, I want to stop parenting. If I haven't parented enough by the time they're 18, then that was my chance. I don't want to be a parent after 18. And when it comes to clubbing, I hope that when my kid is old and grown up and they're going out for a beer at a bar or whatever they're doing, of course I want to come with them. But
Okay, so let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Damien said, on the flip, my grandmother, Mama, didn't play and was from the old school and shaped most of the best parts of who I am today. Beautiful. Nice. Crystal says she is team spanking. Oh my goodness.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Too. Okay, so real quick.
Wait, okay.
Wait, no, because that's the next topic. You about to go into
further?
further?
No, you're right. That's the next topic.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold on.
So
I feel like
yeah, it did. So on this topic though, do you believe that parents should be friends with their children? And you guys are parents out there, so let us know what you think. That's a tough one. I don't know if I would say as a parent, I should be my child's friend, but I do feel as a parent, I should be someone that my child can have open and honest discussions with.
Just as they would their friend.
Exactly. But I'm still their parent and I have that authority, you know, and there's that respect there, but they know they can come to me about anything. They know we can have conversations. We can have fun together. The lady said she would club with her daughter at a certain age. I feel like, okay, if I'm 20 to 30 years older than my child, what do I look like going to them? Like, I mean, I don't know. Because I guess when you go to a club, people range from ages once it's 21 and up.
Look, we're not going to the club together.
Maybe like a lounge or, you know, something different.
Knowing what the club actually is.
Yeah, that
we're not going to the club together. And we might go to the bar or lounge,
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't even be clubbing at like 50. Yeah, so I'd probably be going to like a lounge, something more classy. Let's see.
So what's the line though? Because you're a parent and your daughter's still young. What is that line, you know, of being a friend and, you know, being a parent? And I mean, I guess my mom's not writing, but I could speak for my mother. She's somebody that feels like, you know, it's more so I'm the parent, I'm not your friend, da 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 da. I mean, but if you do feel comfortable, mommy, why? What's the reasoning behind it? I like how the gentleman explained it too. Being a parent doesn't prevent you from also serving as a friend to your child. Parent takes precedence though. Okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe the issue, I guess, where people say like, oh, I'm a friend to my child is because they look at the parenting role as just an authoritative role versus a parent should be someone their child can confide in. And a parent should be someone your child can have fun with. Like a parent should be all of that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where Gabe's saying you can be friendly, but always as a parent. It's like, yeah, you have qualities of a friend, but it's not like, bestie, and I'm going to just tell you all my secrets and I'm going to just dump, like how on your friends, like with your friends, you would vent to them. Like you vent to your friends, you ask for advice with your, with your friends, and you guys just, it's a different relationship.
I mean, the fact of the matter is I'm not about to treat a 1 or 2 year old like I would do somebody my own age.
I mean, but your children still get older.
I mean, they do. And I mean, I would treat, I guess, and that's for our parents to kind of speak on is
thanks, Chris.
What happens once they get older?
I think that the boundaries maybe decrease as they get older. But the one lady who said she wants to stop parenting when the child is 18.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, to me, I will always be a parent. I don't care if my child is 30. If they need me, like as your parent, I'm going to be there. If you need me to be the getaway car, I'm going to be there. And then later we'll discuss what you did wrong. But I'm always going to be there for my child. I don't really care how old they are. So I don't think parenting just stops once your child is 18. Like, think about when we were 18, guys. We still didn't even know what we were doing. True. So I still would ask my mom for advice or talk to her about certain things. So she never stopped being a parent to me, still to this day. Like, she's always a parent. Let's see. Khalik laughed. Can't be a conflict of interest. My mother is my best friend. I'm not going to the club with her. Khalik said, you ain't driving no getaway car. You're going to get lost. I would get lost. You're right about that. GPS. And you're right. Saquon would drive the getaway car. Yeah. Mommy says, hi.
We were the getaway car. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Mommy says, hi, sis. I guess we won't see these kiddos in Aruba. Party. Oh, yes, we will. That's a vacation. That's not partying. We're still going to Aruba. And now we're grown. Okay, so that's where the boundaries start to, fade. We're going to Aruba with you guys.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. We still get put in the kid category with my mother.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30 years old.
Yeah. We're adults. Let's see. Gabe says, even when they get older, you are still their parent first. I have a 26-year-old, 23, and 17. They're all still my kids first. Yep. I don't think that ever changes. Mama J says, I believe parent first. I do think that I would like to have an open dialogue, but unfortunately, sometimes depending on your parenting style, the child may feel like they can't have that open dialogue. I think I prefer parent for sure first. Okay. Colleague said, you think we're going to have time for GPS? That's true. Well, listen, the child will have to do it. The driver better have that in already. Exactly.
Better know where you're going.
Mama J says, parenting style has a lot to do with how we were raised. That parenting style is huge. Yeah. It's huge, and it bleeds into how you are as an adult and how you treat your children and your spouse. So that's really huge. Mama J says, sis, Aruba, parents only. Well, hopefully we're parents by then because we're coming. Excuse me. Chichi says, I read somewhere that children can't even truly have friends until they reach a certain level of maturity. That's a good point. Because if you think about young kids, it just made me think about kids, in elementary school. Mm-hmm. They can so quickly unfriend you, I remember people used to get mad about top 8 on MySpace or the issues that my friends got mad at me about when I was younger, the dumbest things in the world. Satara, if you're on here, yes, I'm talking about you, girl. Love you. But it was just so silly and petty. So it's yeah, I definitely agree with that on Chi-Chi.
That's interesting.
I can see
and
it.
I mean, I guess so too, because you gotta realize like the detachment that you have with like when you think now, people that you were close to when you grew up, like you don't even think about them no more.
Yeah, a lot of people, and that's what they say. You meet most of your closest friends in college. They say a lot, like we think the whole world, like we think middle school, high school is just like the world until you get out of there, and then most of the people you don't talk to.
True.
It's like only like one or two people maybe. Anshiji says, I'm friendly with my children, but I'm still the parent authority figure. I'm responsible for them 100%. So there's a level of seriousness that goes with that. Love it. I agree. And then Ciasia says, yes, parenting styles as well as discipline strategies. Colleague said,
Sir,
are his muscles bothering you?
I'm not even there.
All right. So let's go into a topic with parenting style and discipline strategies. Okay. Are you guys for
spanking?
Beating. See, people like to say spanking to make it sound softer, but you're really beating your children. You're hitting them.
True.
So are you guys yay or nay?
Well, how about we just say hitting your kids?
Yeah. Are you guys fine with hitting as a form of discipline on your children? And while you think about that, he's going to say something. Don't come from my man, okay? Don't do that.
That's a good thing, right?
No.
That I've been
the whole life?
Not my whole life. Not my whole life. I mean.
Okay, so.
No, actually, I feel like I lost a lot of weight at one point.
Okay, so which one are you going to play first? Then?
It's up to you.
Okay.
Spanking your child is an acceptable form of punishment.
What? I don't want to get involved at all.
Yeah.
Do we have to?
We don't have to do it at all.
I don't even want to stand back here.
Well, we don't have to. You guys don't have to participate in the conversation whatsoever.
But is it going to show our position, like standing back or sitting?
We do see you guys in the background, but we just want to hear his perspective. Then people can walk forward. But if you don't want to participate in the conversation whatsoever, you don't have to.
Well, yeah, so I'm kind of saddened that nobody else walked forward, because not only do I think it's an acceptable form of punishment, but I think it's one of the best. And the reason is because it's effective, it's quick, it's over, it's done, and the kid can go off and play again and not have to sit in a corner or languish in a room or something like that. And it's not about getting angry, I'm mad, I'm gonna whack my kid. No, it's about, okay, you did something you weren't supposed to do, and you're going to get spanked for this.
Okay.
I'm gonna whack my kid.
You guys are so funny. Ciasia said there's levels between spanking and beating. We'll go into that, Ciasia. Let me know. What are the levels? What are the differences? Crystal says she's team whip that ace. Gabe says he's for it and he's not. He is. Yeah, he said, I am and I'm not. I feel like it depends on the situation. Anchichi says, I don't believe in spanking. And yes, that lady in the video is like, no, I don't want to put my opinion out there, which makes me think that she's for it. But obviously she knows there's something wrong with it and she doesn't want people to know her stance on it.
She don't want to know that. She don't want people to know that she's beating her kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, he said the best. He said that was the best form.
So let's talk about spankings. What is the purpose? For those of you who are team spank that child, what is the purpose of hitting your child? What is the purpose?
All right, I'm going to say my opinion.
Go ahead.
I think the purpose is for there to be the worst feeling of hurt, that I guess you could actually imagine too. I mean,
That's why you think parents do it?
Yeah, to correct them.
I think it's a consequence.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying.
They know it hurt.
Worst amount of hurt that they can think of.
something that hurt. They want it to hurt. You get what I'm saying?
To teach a lesson.
Yeah. They not about to kiss you.
No,
like
no.
Yeah.
No.
I told you not to. Like they're not doing that.
To correct you with love.
Yeah, they hitting you.
Listen, correcting with love. Hitting is not correcting with love. And when parents say, oh, it's going to hurt me more, it's going to hurt you.
So,
no,
Crystal, I mean, you saying talking only goes so far, right? Let's say Would you agree with him to say it's one of the best forms of, I guess, discipline and correction?
And then Gabe said, so they never do it again. This is the purpose. If you do it all the time, it means nothing.
Yeah, so but what's the point of hitting them? The hitting part. Okay. Yeah, we know what the overall, you get what I'm saying?
But I think that would be it for, I guess, people look at it as a form of discipline. So if you do wrong, this is your consequence. So in their mind, hitting is enough to dissuade you from wanting to do it again. But a lot of times kids still do it again. So are you getting your point across?
So you think they agreed that to say, okay, yeah, I am trying to hurt them.
In a way, because even if I know my child loves playing the video game, right? Mm-hmm. And so I say, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and I take away your video game.
Still trying to hurt them.
It's going to hurt them to an extent because that's something they love to do.
But beating is just hurting them physically.
Right. Crystal said, you can only do so much talking. AZ has 3 chances. After that, pow, 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 pow. Ciacia says, oh, you want to read hers?
From a cultural perspective, growing up in a family where it happened, it's more of an immediate method of correction, popping or spanking, that is. Yeah, I mean, it is immediate. Sometimes, but think about the kid that be waiting all day for his spanking.
Oh, anticipating it?
Yeah.
Colleague said there's a difference between spanking and getting beat. Damien says, I don't wash dishes now because of my father. So my wife, I can't help you. Wow. Is that because of how he disciplines you, like beating you for the dishes? And then Ciacia, hold on. Oh, Ciacia says, depending on the severity of the behavior, that would warrant a whooping. As for me, with my daughter, I won't be whooping her. And why not? Let's see. Aunt Chichi said, people spank their children because children can't hit back. Amen. Aunt Chichi, I have a point to make with that. Tanya, I'm going to start calling you Aunt Tanya because I just feel like I need to call you something before your name. Okay, so Aunt Tanya says, I guess it's like when kids play with matches and a parent may use the match to burn them. Hopefully, lesson learned.
I guess that's different.
But that's crazy because it's teaching them
I'm teaching you the actual consequence of what this does.
But that's still not
proper. I mean, it's still like abuse on the low.
Right, but she's saying, I guess, the purpose of it. That's interesting.
It's like if I told you the stove is hot, the stove will burn you, and you get to figure it out.
Yeah. Ciacia says discipline should be on a continuum. Everything, if anything, doesn't warrant a whooping. And then Khalid says, your hair looks nice. You use that Gorilla Glue? No, I did not. Actually, I didn't even use any gel. But thank you. And Damien says a trauma. So a lot of people feel like, from what I've heard and kind of what you guys are saying, is it's a form of correction. And after you've talked so much that you feel like your child should have got it, that now hitting them is the proper form. But I feel like, for one, hitting, I feel like the only response you get is fear. Your child isn't really learning a lesson because whatever they did, you hitting them, what does that show them? It just shows them, okay, I did something wrong. They're going to beat me. And I know you guys said like, it depends on what they did, but if I know that I did something wrong and I'm coming to you and you're asking me, did I do it? Most time I'm going to lie because I don't want to get hit.
True.
And then even if you still hit me because you don't believe me, I'm still going to lie because
that might be my best chance at getting free of anything.
So you believe giving a whooping is abuse. I do. I think giving a whooping is abuse because I feel like if we think beating is a form of correction, if I do wrong, because as a grown adult, I still do wrong. Should my husband beat me to correct me? Or should I beat him to correct him when he's wrong? If that's the message I'm sending to say, this is the consequence to when you mess up, should it be allowed for your spouse to do it?
Age change anything for you? For me personally, I'm on the fence as far as whether it's abuse or not. because I'm still kind of to the point where I don't know what I'm gonna do with my child. Like, no, well, I primarily want to not beat my child, not like at all. Like, I would really love to not do it, and I do believe that it's possible to raise a child without doing it. I personally believe that. But I have this thing to where, you know, I think when kids do certain things that they know what they're doing, and like, especially like hitting other kids and things like that. And it just kind of puts me in a weird spot.
If you hit your child, that's not going to stop them from hitting another child. And actually, it's probably going to make them more aggressive to want to take out their anger on other children. And no, hitting is a form of, if I don't like something, I can hit you.
I mean,
in my opinion.
I guess I get what you're saying. But I also feel like taking everything away from a kid and basically putting him in jail in his room, and he just go to school and he's just coming back home, that's doing the same thing. And if I don't take anything away, then I'm just letting this child have the best life ever, and he just beat up somebody at school.
I don't think you don't have to necessarily always take away from your child to teach them or correct them. Like, for example, like kids coloring on the wall, they have to clean up they have to see what it takes to fix that. Or if
you said what?
Like if a child draws on the wall, making them scrub the wall until it's clean. Like, that's a form of this. You did this was wrong, especially if you knew it was wrong. So now you have to take care of it. What a parent typically does. A parent would just do, what was necessary. We have to actually read them.
Okay,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
Cousin Les said, I always said I was saving it for if it was really necessary and other things wouldn't work. Found it wasn't really needed. Nice. Dame says, my father gave you 3 times to wash dishes. After the 3rd strike, he said he would go outside, grab some dirt, and garnish your food. Oh, no. I had 2 strikes, and to this day, I twitch when I bust a sponge. That's sad. Why? Why? Because my brother had 3 strikes, and my dad actually garnished his spaghetti with a pinch of dirt. Oh, wow. You just said exactly. Crystal says, I don't think it is a proper form. It's just what I believe is best.
So that's interesting, Crystal.
And then Dame says, however, I wouldn't be who...
Right here.
Where?
On the screen.
Oh, however, I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't get my arse tore up. Maybe, maybe not. Cousin Let says, second, I didn't want to teach my kids to hit out of anger. So I decided with the first one, I would always wait till I was not angry to correct them. I think that's huge, because the only time I think I would hit anybody if I was angry. And that's not teaching anything. And that's not trying to correct. It's just really getting out my own frustration and taking it out on my child.
True.
Colleague says, you can't even hit kids nowadays. They'll call the boys in blue. Good. Gabe says, you're not a child no more. Chichi said, the worst spanking I got as a child was because I was caught using curse words. I still curse a lot. Just learn not to get caught. Pretty much. Like, beating doesn't stop the behavior. It just makes them fearful to do it in front of you.
True.
Crystal says, at Damien, so why didn't the dishes get done in the amount of time given? That was a good question I was thinking about, because a lot of punishments, whether it's beating or you try to find different ways to correct your child, children, I think because children are just young and don't have as much self-control as we do as adults, that we just still do things that we know are wrong. Okay, Ciacia, man, you guys are writing. I love this. You want to read it?
Ciacia said, if you want to correct the behavior, you have to understand why it's happening and redirect it in a positive way in order to improve the behavior you want to see.
100% agree.
Khalik said, okay, do we beat kids who continue to use curse words?
No, because why are they using curse words and where are they hearing it from? Now, if you're cursing, and that's another big thing, you need to lead by example. I know a lot of parents say, well, I'm grown, I can do what I want. And what's that saying? Do as I say, not as I do. But I do feel like as parents, you have a responsibility to lead by example.
What if it's not coming from them though?
That's why I said this was just talking about the parent.
Okay.
So you do have a responsibility to lead by example. Now, if it's coming from outside of the house And that could very well be the case because your children are going to have a lot of outside influences. It's your job to correct them and explain to them why that is not proper to use. And you can't necessarily control what comes out of their mouth, especially when they're not in the house. But you can also let them know in this household, those words are not going to be accepted. All right. Let's see.
I guess at that point, you're saying, I don't care what you do, but you're not doing that here.
Yeah. Damien said, no, that's not true. Whippings come with conversation, lessons, and action. Sometimes it's time to tear that ace up. I guess it depends on the parent because not all whoopings come with conversations. And, a good pop will put your child in the spot. How many of us had that slap that brought us back to reality? Yeah, but just because it brought you back to reality, like you feared your dad. I feared my mom at one point. Like, listen, after I got beaten, I was telling Saquon this. I told him this a long time ago. I wasn't like, oh, I respect her and I'm just going to do right. I'm like writing my runaway letter. Like, and I disowned her as my mom. Like, I didn't say, dear mom. I was like, dear Gladys, I am running away. Because it's like, it's just, to me, it wasn't like you're doing this out of love. It's you're doing this because you're mad that I did something wrong. And granted, yes, I'm wrong, but I don't know. I didn't look at it like
it's hard for me because I guess that's where I'm at with it. I guess when I got a beating, I felt like it was more so out of anger. Of course, it was because I did something wrong.
Right.
But I'm your hard-headed kid. I'm that hard-headed one that I never like a spanking or a beating. Never.
You kept doing it.
It's not that I kept doing it or not. It was up. Some things was more so. I guess it's just like I'm not fit. Like I never thought about the getting in trouble part for some reason, but
that's what I'm saying. Children. I don't think children.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we know what we're doing is wrong, and other times we really just are forgetful or like we're children. Like, and I think that's another thing. You have to. Like what some of you guys were saying, it's like there's a continuum. Like if your child is 2, you can't expect them. Like, you can't expect so much out of them. If your child's 5, you can't expect them to know everything that you know. Like if I were to say, if I were to say something when I was a child and I didn't understand the meaning of that term and I got a beating for it without an explanation,
you're still sitting there like, what the heck?
You're still confused because I'm not being told like this is just a bad word to say or, this is something you shouldn't say. And especially if it's your child's first time, it's like, why are you just going to beat me? Like, this is the first time. How do you know that I knew prior to that this was wrong?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Mama J says spanking. Oh, excuse me. Not spanking. Spanking is much easier said than done. But again, how you were raised has an impact. I agree. Because of how we were raised, that it's much easier said than done. Because if you were raised being spanked, it's kind of like ingrained in you. That's the form of discipline. So I agree with that, Mama Jen. Let's see. Oh, Cousin Les said punishments can be abuse too. I definitely agree with that. Like putting dirt on your child's food, that's a form of abuse. And I think it's The Secret Lives of Bees. The little girl had to like kneel on grains of grits or something like that. Really? That's a form of abuse, and that's not hitting.
That hurt like that?
Yeah.
Grits?
Anything like little grainy grains on your knees, and you have to sit there for an hour?
Oh, for an
hour. That would hurt.
Okay.
Her knees were like red and bruised.
Yeah.
Mama J said, as parents, you are also learning, and that's huge true. As well. I agree with that. Dame says, I think it's abuse if you get beat every time, but every once in a while, it could be needed. My older boy got beat 5 times in his life. Gabe Jr., not even once. Okay. That's something huge too. Excuse me. I think that knowing your child, every child, you can't discipline the same. You can't correct the same. So even if you choose not to beat your kids at all, one child, you can say, okay, no game for a week, and they kind of learn their lesson. Another child, you can do that. They don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't hurt them.
But in a sense, Gabe, would you say it would be in a sense like my mom was saying, with Gabe Jr., did you learn anything as a parent from your older child
That's
that
true.
you kind of pull back where you're not as
right, because they always say first child is like the trial child.
Yeah.
You're learning because you're new to this parenting game.
Yeah.
And then now you can handle things different with your second child. That's a good point.
It make you, you know what I'm saying? Make you less trigger happy. You don't want to, you like, I've seen this before. Like, maybe it's another way to go about this.
Yeah. And Dame, to answer your question, I hold a lot of like the morals and like statutes my mom instilled in me, but not from beatings. Like there are certain things, just like I remember I was going to my friend's house and my mom was picking me up. And my friend's mom was like, oh, don't call me Mrs. Steely, call me Arlene. So I'm leaving. I'm like, bye, Arlene. And my mom was like, excuse you? She was like, no, it's Mrs. Steely. I was like, bye, Mrs. Steely. And now to this day, like anybody I meet, like even when I see new people on here, it's always like Mrs. or, Mr., unless they're like our age range. And that's why I even like Aunt Tanya, like certain people, it's like, if I hear you say it, like that's just the way it was said, then sometimes I'll say it. But a lot of times when I meet people, I always call them like with a not a greeting. I forgot what it's called, formality.
But is there anything that you uphold now that you got a beating for?
Well, I didn't really get beat a lot because I always listened for the most part. I was actually the good child.
See, and that play a difference too, I think, if somebody want to beat their child or not.
Yeah, I pretty much listened, but probably because I feared my mom.
Yeah.
But that was, so I listened. Let's see. Go ahead. You want to read it? Or
Khalik was saying, you kept doing that. You was like that too, Khalik. You ain't listen. Damien said, let's be clear. They were children before they were our parents. They emulated their upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
We now are better versions of we now are the better versions of their parenting. However, we have to hold on to the belts
of the old. However, we have to hold on to the belts of old.
Okay. And Ciaja says, I think anything outside of a pop on the butt or a hand becomes risque. Kay says, have I learned anything? Yes, but they were both two different kids. Okay.
That's true. That's the tough thing with children. It's like you may like your first child, you may like, I got this parenting thing down in the bag.
Yeah.
Then you get another little rug rat. You're like, what in the world?
Crystal said, Ciaja said, many parents also misinterpret Proverbs 13:24 too.
Spoil the child, or spare the rod, spoil the child.
Spare the rod, spoil the child. What,
don't beat them, you spoil them.
So Ciaja, what's the correct interpretation of it in your opinion then, if you think they misinterpreted it? Crystal said, I've never met a child who just talked to be a better child.
Who just got
talked to. Okay, yeah. The children who just get talked to are wild and allowed to do as they please. In the end, the parents regret not disciplining in the end.
So then just the talking to, okay, I feel like that's a part of it to help them understand why they did what was wrong, blah, 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 that part. But then, yes, I think for every action, there should be a consequence. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, I don't think the consequence necessarily has to be beating. And I don't think anyone answered my question.
What?
As far as if you're using that as a form of correction, do you feel like other people should spank you to correct you? Because I feel like we have all these demands for our children and expect them to follow these expectations, but us ourselves, we're not perfect.
Yeah, and the reason, I guess, earlier why I brought up the word abuse is because, look, I guess as you're saying it, right, is this. What makes domestic violence or domestic abuse with a partner or a spouse or anybody, what makes it any difference? Because if somebody was hitting you and you didn't want to,
you didn't want them to hit them.
Yeah, you didn't want to be hit. You could call the cops and say, hey, there's domestic violence happening right now. Take them away. You can actually do that. So the question is, age the line.
It's age. And that's what Aunt Chi brought up earlier. She said people beat children because children can't hit back and children are more defenseless.
And that's not true because some kids hit back.
Yeah, but not in the sense of a grown person, like a little child hitting you back.
If they really get upset enough, they find a way to hurt. They can do it. If they really wanted to, they can. There's kids that's locked up for.
You're talking about like adolescents, like once they start reaching.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about young.
You talking about like somebody like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
I'm talking about maybe an 8 or 9 year old.
Yeah. Oh, and then CH just says not misinterpret
but blow it out of proportion.
Mm-hmm. And then Antanya says, I agree. A lot of my lessons I learned that stick with me had nothing to do with my spankings. Same. Yeah. And then let's see. Cousin Let says, well, my youngest is 15 and he has never had a beating or even close. So communication and talking can work. Same for my brother's youngest. Nice. I'm glad to see a positive example of that because I think so too. I think communication can. And then you don't necessarily have to like punish in the sense of, like I said, punishment doesn't necessarily have to be removing something. It can be you broke this. Now you have to do some work to pay for it. Or, like it's just making them understand why this is truly wrong and because a lot of times, like, okay, if you put a hole in the wall, if your parent plasters that, you don't really have the concept of how much work that took to fix the problem that child made. So now if you have to help me plaster it and you sweating bullets, then you'll kind of have a concept of not making a hole in the wall again.
That's tough too, because then you could be like this. What if that child just had fun plastering that wall? Because that's like arts and craft if you really kind of get into
in
it.
A child's mind.
Yeah.
Well, then also you're going to have to pay for the plaster.
Yeah, and see, that's why I want to teach my child finance, because if I teach my child finances in the early stage, I could use the money and more so the currency of the way things run around my house as a consequence.
Teaching tool.
Yeah, because I think that's the best way to go, in my opinion. But Cousin Let, I wanted to ask you though, do you find yourself with your youngest ever being a quote unquote broken record? Like you always have to say something? Did you find yourself having to say something almost 10, 15 times before they actually got the lesson that you were trying to tell them?
Okay. And then
I just said,
Cousin Let's writing. Go ahead, baby.
Okay. See, I just said, setting realistic expectations for behavior and consistently, rationally, safely redirecting behaviors as needed, not allowing your child to conduct themselves in any way they see fit.
I agree.
Okay.
And I think sometimes, because what you're saying with Cousin Let too, do you feel like you have to repeat yourself? I think that goes to that authoritative mindset where if I say it, you need to listen the first time. There is no room for error. Yeah. And maybe that's where that strictness comes in, to where it's like, you need to obey my rules to this T. Yeah. But it's like they're children, like they're figuring out the world. They're, and it definitely can be annoying because I get frustrated when, like, if I had patients and their children are in there touching stuff, not listening, and the parents not saying nothing, and it's thrown off my feng shui, I get frustrated. Yeah. So I understand why repeating yourself, it's just frustrating and it's hard. And then you have kids who may not listen and who just push and challenge you. But I just feel like there's better ways to handle it than beating. Cousin Let has a question for us.
She says, if your kids try to rise up, do you think a whooping is okay then?
Like rise up on me, like get back?
Oh, they trying to fight me? Once you do try to put your hands on me and you think it's time to fight, yes, because that's the actual consequence to you fighting. That's the actual consequence to anybody. Other than that, you think you bullying somebody. No, that's you try to put your hands on me and I'm gonna show you my strength. So, and I'm probably not gonna show you all my strength. You know what I'm saying? Unless it necessarily take that. If you try to hit me with like a frying pan or you trying to really knock me out, I might have to really use more force than necessary. But
I think in a sense of like defending yourself. So like if your child just kind of stood up angry, like fist, I don't think my first reaction would be just to give him a 1-2.
No, yeah, just
like
no. I gotta see you really coming for me.
But but I would be like, this is where you're at. This is where we need to be. Let's calm that down. Maybe you need to go for a walk or something and calm yourself down. Because honestly, I think violence, for the most part, when you're the aggressor, especially if you're just angry and no one hit you, is because you can't handle the emotion that you're feeling.
Yeah.
So you're trying to release this anger, this emotion, and the only way you know how to is physically. So I think like you need a cool off period. But now if you touch me, my husband's gonna deal with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Love you.
It's just,
and then we're gonna talk later. But
yeah, that's have to get like I trying to knock you in your chest a couple times or something like that. But I don't want to hit you in your face or nothing like that. You're not really
trying to just harm them, but it's like it's like a defense thing, and it is, that is a consequence to that type of action.
Yeah, that's where we draw the line.
Yeah,
we draw the line there. You know?
And I don't think that's abuse. I think that is just protection.
Yeah, you defending yourself.
I'm not just gonna let my child be knocking me out.
Yeah, like what?
All right. Ciasia says positive punishment is adding something aversive, to decrease whatever behavior is going on. I like positive punishment, and I like conscious parenting, and it's pretty much positive punishment. It's less about just taking and making it all negative. It's trying to, like you said, redirect them to try to do something positive. Like with Kai, it's kind of like if he's getting ready to bark at a dog, but then you're like, oh, look, Kai, go play over here. Like, it's kind of like changing their attention.
I don't think he said it in this clip.
Not the train one.
Oh, man.
But it's like guiding and training. Let's see. Gabe says, I love the finance idea, as I did that with little Gabe since he was young. Oh, nice. Okay. So I'm really loving talking to you guys, since you guys already all most of you have children. So it's like certain things that we think about implementing. It's like you guys have seen them work. All right. And then let's see. Dame, go ahead.
I tensed up on my mother one time. And when I woke up, well, I don't remember much after that. These kids today squared up with their parents.
But I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's too far. It's too far.
I
think.
Okay, baby.
But this is what I think, though. I believe that fighting stuff, like if you get like that tense or just getting ready to want to, come from being hit. Well, y'all have that relationship. You have a relationship with this person to be hit, like and to have one to react before, but you couldn't because it's your parent. So you understand what I'm saying? Every time you get hit, and this is go back to what I'm saying, even the age. If anybody gets hit, the natural reaction is to defend themselves, either to get out of there or hit back.
Exactly. Cousin Les says her daughter or her youngest child did have to constantly repeat herself for cleaning up, but it was the same as other kids who did have beatings.
Okay.
Colleague says, but I'm not even gonna read it, colleague. You playing. And then she also said her oldest had two spankings. One was for hitting her. She never tried it again and told her brothers, so they never tried. She's like, listen, that's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
What is it like? I made the mistake, so you don't have to.
Like, I don't think that's a good idea.
No. And then Dame says, preach, bro. You want to fight me? It's a Royal Rumble. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Violence is not always the answer, colleague. And I'm sure you probably did not want some of the beatings that you probably received growing up.
I know you didn't.
I know I didn't. Shucks. So we're going to play one more clip about this topic.
I'm just going to say my view. So I don't spank my child, one, because of chattel slavery and Jim Crow. I'm a Black person, and I live in a world where Black people are beaten all the time. I have a mother who spanked me. I'm not glad that I was spanked. I respect her, but I'm not happy about that. Also, the same thing with the people who are like, I was spanked, I came out great. They usually have like anger issues, they're violent, they whip their own kids, they probably need therapy. Usually they don't even realize how emotionally
Oh gosh, yeah. So
what y'all think about that?
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think that children, I think it could go either way, where Meatloaf.
Taya said the kids squaring up with these parents are the ones who are friends.
Right? Oh man. Colleagues remember one of his beatings, the meatloaf.
No, see, and that's bad too, because we look at that stuff as funny.
Now you can laugh.
No, we thought it was funny back then. That's why we kept saying it. But only in the moment.
For the person who got the whooping, they thought it was funny too.
No, they don't.
Exactly. It's the other children around who think other people watching their sibling.
We all thought it was funny, but that person that it happened to,
probably was traumatized. Yeah, they probably were traumatized. Cousin Les says, "Man, I had some of the stupidest beatings, plus other forms of abuse. Sorry, Mom, spilling the tea. Death was not right and messed with me a lot." And then Booby said, "Wait, I can explain." Oh, yes, that's another one.
Yeah,
that's another insider.
Not in defense, but also, I guess, colleague, we're not even laughing at the beating part. It's just everything that led up to it. It's just the image of what was going on to get to that.
That's the same that what Booby's talking about is like an inside joke where Orange, my little brother, he was getting beat and we were laughing, but it's just because of the reaction and everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really, that wasn't funny, but it was funny.
It's the way it played out.
Yeah. And so I think it can go either way. Children who get beat, either they are more likely to be aggressive and hit someone, whether it's domestic abuse or getting into fights or things like that, or they're more likely to accept abuse. Not everybody, not all, but most. But allow, they're more likely to accept abuse, whether it's someone yell, like if your parents always yelled, you're most likely that's your form of communication, because that's what you saw.
Yeah, they say that basically a lot of people that get hit a lot, they are the ones that they accept that from their spouse.
Yeah.
Or the yelling or whatever the case may be, they kind of with it because they spouse. I mean, because their family. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, if I'm the person, your parent, the one who had you, and I'm telling you I love you, and then I turn around and beat you.
Yeah.
It's like a confused message. It's like, you love me, but you're inflicting this harm on me.
Yeah. The person that loved me, the way they correct me is by beating me.
Right. So that's why, when people say, "Oh, well, why did they stay? Why don't they leave?" It's like, well, some people feel like that's love.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Cousin Wes said, "Gabe, you need to spill some tea too, so she ain't the only one getting in trouble now." He said,
"Sorry, lady, I'm afraid to get beaters."
See, the fear lingers. Just kidding. Oh goodness, but yes. Okay, so you want to go to the next topic?
All right. So next topic, and I hope my G and my mother is still in here because we need y'all.
Yes, Mama J, my G, get active.
All right. So this last topic is spoiling children.
Yes. Subcategory: parents versus grandparents.
Yeah, but that's later in there. We might get to that. But what do y'all think about spoiling your children? Do you think that
there's such a thing as spoiling your children? Like, can you really spoil a child? What does spoiling really mean?
What is spoiling a child?
To go rotten. Can you do that?
What do you think?
Me? Mommy said guilty. So I honestly don't feel like I was spoiled.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't. Now, people around me, like Satara, one of my best friends, definitely would say I'm spoiled. But honestly, I feel like I was really well taken care of, and my mom treated me, and not even just my mom, other adults around me treated me like a princess.
Okay.
Now, growing up, I would say I'm spoiled, and I would be like, I'm a grateful spoiled. But I feel like I didn't really get things that I wasn't deserving of.
Okay.
Because, like, I wouldn't act bad or misbehave and then get rewarded for it. Like, I was just given things. You
weren't any type of bad child at all.
I wouldn't say that. I did things wrong, but I didn't get rewarded when I did wrong. So I feel like you should give your child the best. You should want them to have great things. They should be royals. Like if I look at myself now as like, and I'm not being conceited, but if I look at myself, I want to hold myself to a great standard and like a royalty type of standard. I'm going to treat my child as such. You get what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you treat your child great? Like, I don't think giving to your, like, okay, if your child acts up all the time, misbehaves, and then you keep giving them, that I feel like is spoiling. Okay. Because I don't feel like they're deserving of it in that moment. But if your child's doing well and they're just, on the right path and you want to give them things, how is that spoiling?
Even though they do some wrong things, it's like.
Well, because at the end of the day, just because you do wrong doesn't mean you're a bad person. We all do right and wrong.
True. Okay.
Mama J says yes, she is here for the spoiling. We know. Okay. Khalik believes you can spoil your children. Cousin Let says, I don't know what the spoil thing is. Me either.
Your mom said, I gave you all the best that I had in child. You've always been a spoiled princess. So your mom says you were spoiled.
But she says, I've always been a joy to raise. So is that really spoiling?
See, but but the way she says it is your actions have warranted the spoiling. Treatment. No, the spoiling though. Spoiling. She's saying spoil. She said it. This is your own mother saying
best treatment. Like, listen, I don't think it's spoiling because listen. I'll answer your question in a second, Gabe. I don't think it's spoiling because if like you want to do nice things for good people. Like if someone makes you happy, like that's you, true. I'm like not. Would you say you're spoiled by me? Like if you make me happy and you do nice things to me, and it's just me treating you well. It's treating you how you deserve.
I get okay. I get what you're saying. I understand where you're going with this. Because I tell people like if people would tell me.
Oh, good.
If people would tell me that I was spoiled, I would say, nah, I'm just well taken care of.
Because that's what you were.
But yeah, I guess.
Okay, so can you guys give me the definition of spoiled to you? And then Gabe says, when they do wrong, do you take it all away? No, I don't take it all away because I don't look at I hope to not look at my child, or I don't look at my nieces and nephews or any children as when they do wrong, then they're not deserving of anything. I think in that moment, if the punishment is a temporary, you can't play with this, or, temporary, you can't watch TV or whatever the punishment may be, if the consequence may be, if that's the case, sure. But it's not saying you can never have this or you're not deserving anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're human. And I would let my children know, I still love you. Even when you do wrong, I still love you. Like we have to learn how to make better choices and and have the conversation and hopefully correct them in a positive way. But I don't want them ever to think just because they did wrong that they're not worthy of good things.
True.
They just wouldn't be getting a whole bunch of things at that time. Later on, they still will.
She just says, I think spoiling happens when a child is overly rewarded for things they're expected to do.
Really?
Okay.
So like if they clean their room, okay, you said overly. So okay, we have to pay attention to words.
And honestly, that's where I'm kind of stuck mentally, to be honest with you, is the overly part.
What is considered overly?
See, okay, and that's what I want to know.
Okay.
Is because I was kind of afraid to even say it.
Why?
Because what is overly?
Exactly.
Like, is something overly rewarding if I can afford it?
Right. Yeah, what is overly? That's a good question. Ciasia?
Because it sounds like I'm sitting here kind of battling it with myself. Like overly is actually perspective.
Yeah.
Of what someone else feels like they should have.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And I think also, to an extent, because you feel like we have this discussion where you feel like your 16-year-old shouldn't get like the nicest, newest car. Even if we can afford it, you feel like because they're 16, it's their first car and they, have less experience, that they shouldn't necessarily get something the nicest and newest.
Yeah, but if I could afford if I could afford a Benz and I gave them the Benz, I don't think that's spoiling them. Then
I don't think so either. But then why would you not?
I'm not going to give them that just because of the value thing. Like I told you, like usually your first car is not this your beater. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not really going to treat it the best. That's why I'm not giving them like the top of the line right then and there.
I mean, true, because my first car. Not that I didn't treat it the best, but I didn't get that oil change on time and the engine blew.
Yeah, so like,
but then also that could be about educating your child on proper car care. I mean, and this is like something you obtain, so you know how to take care of it properly.
Even skills, just driving skills. A lot of young people get into accidents. Why I'm gonna let you get into the accident in a 2021 Benz, rather than me just get you a 2019 Lexus or something like you. I could get you something older, like.
But it doesn't have to be older, because then your concern is protection. So then why not just get them a new car that has these features that would keep them safer? Because
the older cars still have the protection features. I'm just worried about my money.
See, so I don't know about that one.
What? I'm just saying that's not spoiled. I'm worried. It's just the value. Why would we do that?
You think it's a waste of money because you're assuming your child's gonna get an accident.
But it's the same way. Like, even if we had a whole bunch of money, you think that with our child, like because I can't see this. You think that with our child, we would be dressing them up in a whole bunch of Gucci and Fendi and all of this stuff just because we have the money? I'm not one for like to buy things off of name brand, but when we have that type of money, they will be dressed in quality clothing because it lasts longer. Oh, okay.
So if it happens to be Gucci, Fendi, whatever,
so boom.
It's not about the label. It's about how good the quality is.
True. So a shirt they're 2 months old, right? Mm-hmm. A pack of shirts costs $2,000. We could afford it. You gonna get them?
Oh, absolutely not. No, that's stretching.
But why though?
Oh, because at that age, how quickly they grow,
the value
and then
of it.
Also, because when at 2 months you go through undershirts and stuff really quickly because they spit up and all of that. So
that's a waste of money.
$2,000, but if it's like, let's say
the same thing with a car, that's more money.
$35. Okay. Go ahead. You can read on cousin that.
Oh, she said it's because how will they learn to earn things in the blue if we give them everything?
Value, she meant.
And the value?
And the value of them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the value if we give them everything. That's true.
I guess that's where she's saying the difference between spoiling and not spoiling is if we give everything. Chi-Chi said, I believe spoiling is when you cripple a child, not allowing them to learn lessons and learn self-sufficiency. Crystal says, a spoiled child is a kid who is rewarded all the time. They are given anything and everything they want when they don't deserve it. Okay. You want to read her?
Chi-Chi says, and learn the value of hard work and perseverance. True.
Yeah, because you're so dramatic with the 2 racks.
I'm sure
there's some out there
based
that
on
cost that much
for a child for high quality. If we could afford it though.
Yeah, but that's just unreasonable for them to be making that $2,000 for some undies, some undershirts, some snaps. All right,
you worried about the value of your money though. Cieja says, if chores are an expectation, I'm not giving you a pair of new Jordans every time you clean your room, even if I can afford it.
The behavior doesn't match the reward.
Okay. No, you can't say that though. You still can't say that.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Cieja says, now if you do your chores and cook dinner for the house, then sure, maybe I'll go above and beyond. Poppy says, our job is to get them ready for the real world. How you do it is up to the parents. Now, Cieja, what if you and your child come to an agreement and you saying, hey, I give you $200 for allowance? What? How often do you think a child get allowance? Maybe every other week?
Some children every other week, some children weekly. Yeah, but every other week to weekly.
Yeah, 200. We know 200 is not a lot of money. So let's say bi-weekly, $400. And then he come to you be like, nah, just give me some J's every month. You could afford it. Now
No, I wouldn't either. And that's not.
But is that spoiling though? because the money is nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I understand teaching the value. So I understand what you guys are saying as far as like if you just give to your child without them ever knowing how to work for something or learning the concept of making your earning and things. And I feel like I am going to give to my child, but I'm also going to teach them and I'm going to have them learn certain things and do certain things with me. Like our child is going to be working at a young age for our business. So to me, it's like, I don't think they still have nice things and they'll still have the things that they want. They can't just have everything every time they ask for it. Yeah. Maybe not, but
maybe that's spoiling.
Right. And that's what I think they're saying is like where you cripple the child because they just always get what they want. So they have no concept of, I can't always get what I want. And if I ask for it, I should just get it.
I guess that go back to the finance side. I mean, if they worked for the money in the house, then
that's the thing. Then you're teaching the value of working to earn. Yeah. So it makes a difference. And then how much you say I'm going to put the allowance for, and Booby says $400 a month at 10. Sign me up.
Do you think that's too much money?
It depends on what your income. It just depends on your lifestyle and what you sign. For me growing up, $400 a month for some chores. Ballin'.
No, same here. But in reality, it's like, come on. Like, if you really, really broke down some stuff to fairly say you get paid for this, pay for that, if they really stick to it, they can make that up unless you really lowballing them.
Say what? Say it again.
Let's say if you put a value towards certain chores in the house, they can make $400 a month if they stick to it.
I mean, yeah.
Unless you like lowballing the activity, the task.
Well, it depends too. Because, I mean, we don't get paid to do the chores in the house because it's just something that's expected. So if I'm doing that for my child as like an insinuation or something to kind of keep them motivated or just as a reward or however you want to say it, an allowance, it's like, I mean, you don't have to mop and sweeping the kitchen floor. It doesn't have to be $20.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
But let's see. Poppy said, okay. He said raising the parents. Let said allowance negative. I allow you to live here and eat my food for free.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a responsibility though. That's not like, I mean, yeah, you allow it, but it's like also as a parent, you're supposed to. And it shouldn't be taken for granted from your child either. Because some parents don't do what they're supposed to do.
True.
Crystal said, we need to have a discussion on allowance, laugh out loud. I never got an allowance. My mom didn't believe in rewarding me for things I should just be doing for the house. So I feel like, I got an allowance short. I don't know how short, but for a period of time in my life. And I'm just a saver, so I saved it, of course. But for me, when I think of an allowance, yes, things that you should be doing for the house, but it's also like, quick question for, my mind just works. Do you guys think you should pay your kids if they get good grades? Like reward them by paying them for good grades? But I just feel like an allowance isn't necessarily saying, oh, you don't have to do this, so I'm going to pay you to do it. It's just teaching them like you did the job. And now this is the pay. Yeah. If you don't do the job, you don't get the pay.
Yeah, I believe that. And I believe that allowance is the way to see I think people don't believe in allowance because they don't want to give their hard-earned money to someone else to just have to spend without their guidance. Because I personally believe that allowance is good to teach the value of things to your child. Yeah. Let them have money and go spend it on something and see if they want to work some more to go get some more money.
So one thing though, I was thinking, I need to read these comments because you guys are right and I love it. Okay, let me read let me say my comment real quick. So one thing though is when you give your child allowance, do you allow them to spend it on whatever they want or do you guide them? Because I'm not going to lie, our child will have some guidance on what they have to spend a certain amount on.
Yeah, a certain amount. I do think you have to let it be, you teach them how to break it down and they had a certain amount, but even a certain amount, let's say we give them $100 and say only 50 you could spend on this, right? Mm-hmm. Once they spend that 50, they understand that, dang, I just spent that 50. Now I don't have nothing no more. You understand? Now I can't, now, you understand what I'm saying?
I wouldn't tell them what they can buy as far as after they invest.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We know 50, when we pay you, make sure half of it go to investing, and 50 you do what you want with it. But what I'm saying is they start understanding the value because they start being like, well, shoot, I didn't spend my 50 like that. This 50 not enough. Then that value of things start to kick into them without
on how much things cost.
Yeah, because they had the freedom to get what they wanted to get.
Yeah. And you guys, children are so proud when they can go to a store and pay for their own stuff. Yeah. And they'd be so happy to go to the cashier like, yep, I got my own money.
Independence, what I'm learning in music therapy is independence is actually one of the greatest things ever. Because if you give, the more independence you get, right, you just have to give supervised independence. But the more independence you get, like, they're able to internalize their own mistakes.
That's huge.
But you're supervising them. So you might catch it. You might see the mistake coming right then and there. $50, they spend it. You take care of them anyway. So that's supervised. Like, I got you anyway. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Cousin West says allowance is earned for doing more than what is your family responsibilities, basic chores and schoolwork. That's interesting too, though, because there is like a role where it's like we have family responsibilities, certain things to be in this family you have to just do.
So what's more to do if I ain't got no money?
No, she's saying you get the allowance for the extra things.
What's the extra? That's what I'm saying. What are the extra things other than what we're have these responsibilities of doing, as cleaning up this house, making sure everything running smooth? What extra?
The child is not making sure everything is running smooth. But maybe raking the leaves or shoveling the driveway.
That don't usually fall in the chores, though?
Depends on the age of the child, but not always. You could be out there raking leaves. You don't have to put that on your child. And like
she's saying, schoolwork. Did she say that she agrees with?
No.
Okay.
Poppy says, what is a child who is never told no? What does a child who was never told no do when they are on their own and their parents are gone? They're more, I feel like children like that are more so entitled. So I do think there has to be balance and a boundary where you do tell your children no.
Yeah. And this may be half and half. Some people may just kick their little sentence and now they don't have it. So they just figure out how to try to get it.
If they're never told no?
Yeah, some people.
Maybe.
Because you got to think about it. Some kids are spoiled and they know that they're taking advantage of their parents.
I mean, yeah, and they take advantage of other people.
Yeah.
CA just said, yes, because cleaning is a life skill, not an extracurricular. It is a life skill. That's very true. CA just says, consider your reward because think about the detriment it'll do for whatever reason the child can't have it.
So you roll because think about the detriment. I'm not catching it.
So consider what you choose to reward your child. Is that what you're saying, Ciesha? Antanya says, but when you give your child chores, it is preparing them for life. That is true.
Oh, maybe are you saying like based on like I guess the Jordans? If you give your child Jordans, maybe them feeling like they can't have Jordans may be some type of detriment to them, and that's true.
Damien said last. Damien says you mean room and board. Because sorry guys, we were talking not too much. We were talking, so we're kind of behind. Okay. We don't pay for grades, but we let the grants. Poppy says no for paying for grades. They want an allowance. I will allow them to get a job. Okay. Dame says good grades is your just due. Crystal says I was taken to work with my tia, my mom, and taught to work in a business at a young age. I didn't get an allowance. I had to work for my money. Doing things at home isn't for it to me. Dame says, do we get an allowance for paying the rent? You're grown. But that's your responsibility as an adult. So no, you don't, but you get paid to go to work. So you're still doing a job and getting paid for it. So you're just teaching your child the concept of doing a job and getting paid for it. So maybe you don't have to, like Cousin Let said, maybe not for basic household chores, you have to give an allowance. But maybe if you, let's say you say, okay, son, I have this task. I want you to build this thing or clean this thing that is not typically their chore, then maybe you give them an allowance for it. And then let's see, Antanya says, I don't necessarily believe in paying your child for grades, but there should be some form of recognition for the hard work, maybe favorite dinner, ice cream, etc.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like that too. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It can just be doing something nice, taking them to Disney World or something.
Because that does happen in the real world, actually.
Oh goodness! I said it could just be doing something nice, like taking them to Disney World.
It's based on what you could afford.
No, and not even that, because some people can afford it, but they're not going to take you to Disney World just because you had good grades.
That's true. But if your perspective was, shoot, I make a couple mil a year, regular for me is Disney World.
I mean, it just depends on what you want to do, I think. Yeah, I mean, obviously, how much you make plays a factor in what you're going to do. Kaiser.
All the way open.
But yeah, all right. So now let's go on to our last topic so that we can wrap it up. Yeah, that's what, if it's a Vans a month. Oh, if it's a Vans a month. No tears if you can get those 11s. Kai, sit down. Sit down. We're almost done. All right. Last topic is parents versus grandparents in raising children. So for all of you guys who have children and have dealt with the grandparents, positive experiences, or I don't want to say negative, but maybe annoying experiences. Because like you hear stories where, like, for one, your parents raised you, right? And so they did a wonderful job raising you. Now it's your turn to raise your child. And each generation, you learn different things. You change how you want to do different things. You, like for us, when we were vegan, we had dietary restrictions. So if we had a child and they went to our parents' house, they would respect our dietary restrictions and not feed our child, meat. But there are grandparents who feel like they can do whatever they want for the grandbabies because that's their grandbaby. And also, grandparents typically spoil the grandchildren more than they did their own children. So we're going to play a clip, but you guys marinate on that and let us know what you think.
Husband and wife need to come together on important parenting issues. One parent cannot handle this alone. What do you do when you come together? Both of you would have to sit down with the child and talk to her. I'm going to tell you some sample lines that you can say to the child. Also notice the tone that I'm using. Beta, I know you love your grandparents and they fulfill so many of your wishes. But I must tell you, they are actually making a mistake here. They have all the right to love you, but they don't have the right to overpower our parenting decisions or say bad things to you directly about our parenting. That's not healthy. They are crossing some lines here. They are doing it out of love for you, but it's still a mistake. Why? See, it is easier for them to be nice and generous with you because they don't really have to handle the dirty parts, the difficult parts. They are not the ones who are responsible for you. If you do something wrong, we will be held accountable first, not them. That's why final decision has to be ours. Ultimately, nobody knows for sure who's right and who's wrong. Maybe they are right, maybe we are right. But if we want peace in this family, we need clarity. Clarity about who takes the final decisions related to you. It's us, not them. We have the final responsibility. We will take the final decisions. And remember, the person who takes a lot of decisions will make some mistakes. We are not perfect parents, nor were your grandparents, nor will you be. But still, since we are the parents, your grandparents need to respect our rights, which they are not doing right now. And just because they don't understand all of this doesn't mean we will just let you take advantage of their mistake. We will try to talk to them, but there is no guarantee they will listen to us, much less comply. They are adults and we have no authority over them. But Whether they agree with our parenting practices or not, you have no other choice. You are not an adult. We do have authority over you. You can talk to us, share your concerns, but the final decision will be ours. If you don't follow that, it's not going to be acceptable at all. We will not let you overrule us by taking their support. There's no getting away with it. If you push too far, you might even have to face some consequences. Okay? Any questions?
So this guy was like, I was like, that's a lot to tell to your child. But I think he made some good points. So it's really not for the child, it's for like us to discuss. And it was from the perspective of, if as parents you tell your child no to something, but the grandparent says yes, and the child undermines you and listens to the grandparent versus their actual parent. So that's what he was discussing. But yeah, that was pretty lengthy. And Cousin Let, yes, I don't know how old the kids were he would be having that conversation with. And I'm sure they would run immediately and tell the grandparent, can you believe they said you're making a mistake? And Mama J said a lot of times the grandparents have more to give their grandchildren than they did their children. That's true. But I think also not even giving wise, I think what you guys allow grandchildren to get away with is different than what you would allow your own children to get away with.
That's true, because that's something he mentioned in that video. I wish we had more clips on that video. He mentioned it where it's basically saying like that grandparent wouldn't even treat you like the parent like that. Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's also, I don't remember if he just said in that clip, but it's like from a grandparent, you're looking at a situation from an outside perspective. So you can see, like, if, let's say we're telling our child, no, you can't do that. But the grandparent thinks, no, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, lighten up. Like, they're looking at it from a different perspective than you. So they may be right. Like, you know, maybe you just need to take a step back, relax, and it's not really a big deal what your child's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be like, you know, this is something that you feel passionate, or like, you know, this is the ideals in your home. So it's like, no, you still have to respect what I feel here.
True.
So it can go either way. I think grandparents are definitely needed and are such a value to children. And even in the sense of spoiling the children a little bit, I think that's fine. But I think there has to be a balance to where they respect the parents and what the parents feel.
Yeah. So Tanya was saying, she said that was deep, but but I get it and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Sia said, I had the same convo with my parents, but make sure to keep it respectful.
Right. And that's the biggest thing, because I don't think even the parents are necessarily all the time trying to disrespect your authority. It's just that's their grandchildren. Like, you know, it's just a different relationship.
Did that conversation go as you expected it to go, Sia? Did it go better than expected?
That's a good question.
Cousin Les says, yes, Mama J is right. Plus, our parents grew up raising us and are way better grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
Crystal says, my mom believed that she has a say in my daughter's upbringing because she is her grandparent.
That is something that's interesting. Grandparents do feel like they have a right to the grandchildren. And to an extent, it's like, kind of. But it's not a right to overrule what the parents want.
Yeah. And see, back to upbringing, because I look at it like this. If you didn't want your mother interfering in how you raise your child, then you shouldn't do this to me.
That's true.
Or, you know, I'll take it off me being personal.
No, but yeah, you shouldn't do it to your child.
Exactly. You
like,
shouldn't
you
do
have
that
to remember how you felt as a new parent, and you have to give your children the space to be parents, and also trust that you did a great job raising your child.
That
the decisions that they're making is going to be in the best interest for their children.
And maybe you might not understand their decisions, but you raised this child to make good decisions, and this may turn out better than you expected.
Yeah. Let's see. Oops.
Cousin Les said, I would say they have a voice, but not a say, and they need to respect the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it is your spouse's job to keep their parents in line. When it comes to raising your raising plan, with your kids.
I agree.
That's true. That's true. It's a team effort with that one.
Yeah, it's huge. The parents have to be on the same page too on how to handle the situation. Because like I said, for the most part, I don't think most grandparents are trying to do things out of spite or negatively.
No.
I think it's just a different relationship and love that they have for grandchildren. So I believe that, you know, sometimes they may not even be conscious of what they're doing, but we like as parents would have to be on the same page to address this and also set boundaries for like, okay, how often can this person or can one of the grandparents be here, you know?
Yeah.
And how, you know, or how often will the child be at the grandparents and what things can they do there? And you know, they're setting kind of like having a plan and talking to the parents like Sieja did. Sieja, oh. She said it went in one ear and out the other. Oh no.
Crystal said,
go ahead, thank you.
I've had to tell my mom many times she has no say. Because Les says, well, my ex-in-laws though, we had to get the psychologist to call them and get them on board.
Oh wow,
that's crazy.
So that's deep. Yeah, they weren't trying to hear it.
Yeah. Damien says they have right because we used to have a village. Okay.
I agree to an extent.
They have a right to what they say, but not to what your child does.
Right, because you always have the final say as the parent. So they have a right to, be there and, you know, have an opinion.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that's what the village do.
The parents have the final say. I feel like in the village, they would have more of a right to like correct, discipline. And actually, grandparents still can correct and discipline. Oh, well, that's a good question too.
See, but the village goes past just your family though. The village goes to your environment and everything. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, when he says we used to have a village, I thought he was talking about like we used to be in villages, like huts, and we had a village, like a true village.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that's your neighbor, not your grandmother.
Not your grandmother, but they were family. In your village? No?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, well.
I don't think everybody was just family. In that movie we
watched, they were all family in that area of the village.
Which one are you talking about?
That last one, the Indian movie we watched.
We ain't Indian?
Sure, the Africans did it. Anyway, we digress. My current in-laws are more respectful. Let's see.
Damien says, our generation has X'd out the village. The village were trusted people that had the child best in mind at all times, and that were discipline varied. So one thing I wonder, because I don't know. I guess in this case, like we talked about spankings. So if we choose, or if someone chooses not to spank their child, but the grandparent is still old school and believes in correcting by spanking, what do you do in that case? Dame, are you saying because the village that they have every right to still beat the child because that's their way of doing it? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's where it go too far. Is the village has a right to express their opinion on your child, to tell your child whatever they think, because that's what the environment does. But as far as to me as a parent, you do what I say.
Right. Because
you could form your opinion based on whatever you want. That may be how you become a great person in life. You know, you may do something completely different as me when you become of age. But as of right now, what I think I'm teaching, what I want to teach, and the type of guidance that I think I'm setting is what you're going to follow.
Yeah, it's like the final say. They may or not follow it, but in the house they will. But yeah, and it's also like we understand that our children's influence aren't just going to be us.
True.
Their grandparents are going to have huge influence on them. Their cousins, their uncles, their aunts are going to have influence on them. Their friends, like they're going to have a lot of different influences. So we understand that. I think it just comes to respect. And it comes to boundaries.
Yeah.
And even on the parent side is like understanding and respecting that your parents also know how to raise children because they raised you. Mm-hmm. I remember I was watching this one video and it was this cute old mom and her granddaughter had a baby. So she was holding the baby and the mom of the baby came in the room just to make sure everything was okay. And so she called her daughter, which is her granddaughter's mom, and was like, if you don't get this girl out here acting like I don't know how to hold a child, I done raised all you children. But it's like also like, trusting the grandparents too.
Yeah.
Okay.
They could go too far.
Yeah.
But it was still there.
Sorry. Okay.
Damien said, my uncle was smooth with it. My big cousin yelled at me. My grandmother didn't play. My big is teased me.
Maybe big sis, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. My big sis teased me. However, that all worked in the system. That was me. She just said, just a constant conversation. I'm sure it'll get easy as my daughter gets older. But with her being a baby, they're at her will. She's chopped liver.
Yep. That's how it is. That's Mama J and Mommy. I just need not to be chopped liver. Okay. Dean says the village was the council, yes, in conjunction with the parents, had the final say. Love it. And I do think because parents have a wisdom too. Mm-hmm. They did raise children. They've been on this earth longer than us. So I do think it's wise to get counsel from people in your village. And yes, the village exceeded the bloodline, but the parent knew them to be trusted.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess when you say counsel too, from these people, if they think that you should be doing something different, it should be explained. Like, don't just
badmouth you in front of the child.
Yeah. Or think that I told you not to do it and you just gonna do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Explain it to me. Like, you have to give me the facts on why you think this is okay compared to what I'm telling you.
True. That's a good point. Cousin Let says, I definitely believe in the village approach, but we really need to be on the same page, especially for things like spankings. I agree. Then Dame. Who gonna correct Big Mama?
That pop ain't gonna kill your child. And that adds the layer of greatness your child is soon to become.
I don't know if it adds a layer of greatness getting pops.
Maybe not the pop part.
Yeah. I think Big Mama adds some greatness. But I think that that's what I feel like it's more like people are more than just their discipline. Mm-hmm. Like the lessons that Big Mama's probably teaching is through her stories and doing things a certain type of way and having you in the kitchen with her cooking or, those are the memories that you hold on to.
You usually respect Big Mama because of her status with everybody else.
Yeah. Like, it's just like everybody,
Yeah, everybody love Big Mama. Everybody how you don't love Big Mama? That's Big Mama. How you don't like her?
Cousin Les said, I disagree. I will not allow anyone to abuse my child. Period. I agree. And that's a huge one. And that's where it becomes tough. Yeah. Because you never want to have to remove your child from their grandparents' lives. But if the grandparent cannot respect your wishes and constantly overstep their boundaries and constantly either disrespect you or beat the children or do so many things against your wishes, and it causes such a divide, then you may have to cut it until the boundaries can be set and respected.
Yeah. Which shouldn't be that difficult, Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be that difficult at all, I don't think. Yeah. Because if the thing about it, you watch somebody else's child, you ain't gonna be doing that.
Word. Well, some people say, if I'm watching your child,
true. Some people
I be here. If you come into this household, they get whoopings. Well, my child won't be going into that household because if you touch my child,
that's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I couldn't have that.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I definitely feel like grandparents are needed and they're just like an extra extension to parenting. Yeah. And they're a blessing too, especially when you have children and they can take the children, watch them, and then they tell them stories. And, it's a nice relationship for children to have. So I think it's just, like I said earlier, the importance of boundaries and respect. And I think that's been like a real key theme to a lot of things. It's like respect.
Really, boundaries and respect is where somebody kind of set that line. And if you just going to be cool with it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. No, actually, for the people that actually listen to the podcast, just want to thank everybody that is listening on Amazon Music and Spotify, iHeartRadio. We appreciate you guys.
Yes, we appreciate you. We we think we had our 2,000 downloads.
Yeah, we hit a 2,000 downloads recently, and for some reason they love us in Minnesota.
Yes, shout out to you Minnesotians.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Thank you. So, and if you guys got Alexa around the house and ever want to play this back, hey, just go and tell Alexa to play the PowerTrip Podcast, and there you go.
Dame says, "But popping comes with the greatness. Who is Big Mama?" No, la la la. It's part of her, who she is. And then Cousin Let says, like my ex-in-laws, we hindering my son's progress. The psychologist recommended not to allow any more visits. That's why I had her call. Get on board or don't see them. That's true. And it's hard because you especially if your kids have a good relationship with the grandparents, it's hard to cut it off. But it's like, if you're doing more detriment to them than good, why would I keep allowing my child to be harmed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Mama J. Sia just said, know your role respectfully. Yes. Dame says, but when did a pop become abuse? Half of the whiteness from our parents can be deemed as half of what we witnessed. I don't know what I was reading. From our parents can be deemed abused. That's true. We do need a part 2, but a lot of things, yelling, name calling. Oh, you know what? I had some notes. Hold on, guys. We're going to stay on for just a second longer. I had some things I wanted to discuss. But yeah, name calling is another thing. What do you guys think? Okay. You guys want to do part 2 and just get off now and we'll come back?
Okay. So check this out. We kind of had topics set up for next week.
Oh yeah, Poppy. We were going to talk about your topic next
week.
week.
2 topics that we had for next week was dating and using sex as a weapon.
Right.
Was there any? That was just 2, right?
It was those 2. So if you're mad at your partner, withholding sex.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about those 2, or would y'all like to continue this next week?
Well, we can wrap this up because this shouldn't be too long.
What? Wrap this up next week?
Yeah, like part 2, finish this up, and then go into our actual topics for that week.
Okay.
Because we only have 2, so this would be like.
So this would be the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can finish it up.
I say this here, but definitely won't say it to Mama. Right.
We got to get Mama in the chat to see what she thinks.
I'm waiting on grandparentship, guys. Mama J, we're trying.
We appreciate y'all. No, we appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you guys.
Really.
You guys are so awesome. You guys are true writers here every week with us, giving great insight and just sharing in the conversation. So we appreciate you guys. We love you all.
Yes.
And okay, we'll wrap up part 2 next week. Because Damien, I agree. There's some other, you said a lot of things that could be deemed as abuse, and I think they are. So we can talk about that. But then we're going to talk about our other topics that we have next week, which are going to be interesting as well.
And we might have a couple more clips to go for this topic, as a matter of fact, I guess. Right?
Okay.
Whiteness, yeah.
Witness, sorry. All right. Good night, guys. Love you.
Deuces, people.
Peace.